All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the I was dying to meet devotees since Friday. I was literally dying to meet some devotees. Because I was in Camden. There was a winter festival in Camden. So I had a bookstall and I was doing books there, and the atmosphere of Maya is like so strong. The illusion is so strong. And I was like, every minute I was praying, when am I going to see a devotee again? So I asked for one. I got nearly 20 years, so I should be happy. Yeah? So, what are we doing today? I think it's sorry, just a quick medicine time. Canto 3, chapter 29, verse number 3. So as you can see, I just want to gauge who reads Bhagavatam and Gita regularly, like at least some kind of comprehension. How many people? I just want to gauge the audience here so I can... You're reading? Good, very good. Anybody who just new, just bumping into the devotees and trying to get used to? Anybody? Okay, we're all pretty well versed with Gita. Okay, so well, in that case, we can go a little deep today, a little deep diving, Olympics time. Okay, so the 29th chapter of third canto, which means we are completing a very comprehensive avatar, which is Kapila Muni, and he's coming into one of the very deep part of his realizations, because initially he was talking about Sankhya. But I think if you heard my discussions and topics previously, my classes previously, you may have seen a lot of science, you may have heard, or a lot of philosophy, because that's what Sankhya is meant to be. Yeah. So eventually, I might have also mentioned that eventually Sankhya has to gradually coming to devotional service, because Sambandha, Videya and Prayojana. So how do you use all this knowledge? Just to send nice articles to the Daily Telegraph or what? So this knowledge has to be, it's called applied knowledge. In science also, there is science and there is applied. You have, if you want to go deeper in universities, when you're doing science or you're doing financials, the next stage will be applied science. The next stage will be, and in engineering or in finance for example, the next stage will be applied finance. Yeah, you heard these kind of things. So in the same way, you get Sankhya, you get this vigorous knowledge, I am not the Atma. Yeah, 3 modes of material nature, how am I going to get free of the 3 modes of material nature? But at some stage, then there is this applied Sankhya, which is Bhakti. Does that make sense? So it's just like applied engineering or applied medicals or applied science. So applied finance. So it has to be applied, and there are specific rules for application in our lives. So far so good. So this part of the Bhagavatam, where Kapila Muni is trying to explain the nature of devotional service, explanations of devotional service. What does it entail? How do you approach it? So if we don't do this systematically, it becomes, we become just pursuing something for the sake of pursuing, just fanatically. But when we understand the theology in a structure like that, then your life becomes very sublime, because you are applying it structurally. Then you see the results. Because if you don't see the results, it's very frustrating. You can go doing this Hare Krishna for 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, 40 years, and I don't have taste for Krishna. I don't have taste for the name. Why? Because you have to go that structure under good guidance. Yeah? Under good guidance. Yeah? Okay, so let's read. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Bhagavatam class is finished. Okay, just joking. Virago yena purusho. Sorry, I'll just quickly, what date is it today? 9th of July. Okay, 9th of July, we're reading 2023. We're reading Canto 3, 29 chapter, verse number 3. Okay, sorry. Because these things get recorded and I want to make sure people know what's going on. Virago yena purusho Bhagavan sarvato bhavet Achakshva jiva lokasya Vividha mama samshruti. Virago yena purusho Bhagavan sarvato bhavet Achakshva jiva lokasya Vividha mama samsmriti. Virago yena purusho Bhagavan sarvato bhavet Achakshva jiva lokasya Vividha mama samsmriti. Take it away. Virago yena purusho Bhagavan sarvato bhavet Achakshva jiva lokasya Vividha mama samsmriti. Just one more. Yeah, please. Virago yena purusho Bhagavan sarvato bhavet Achakshvo jiva lokasya Vividha mama samsmriti. Virago yena purusho Bhagavan sarvato bhavet Achakshva jiva lokasya Vividha mama samsmriti. Viraga, detached. Yena, by which? Purusha, person. If you see the cognitively, there's not much difference between Purusha and Parasan. This is where you see the links between English and Sanskrit. There's not much difference. Did you see linguistically? Purusha, Parasan. So once it translates, a lot of Sanskrit, when it translates, you'll see every third word in English, I can locate you a Sanskrit word. Guaranteed. Yeah. Where are we? Bhagavan, my dear Lord. Sarvata, Bhavet, Achakshva. Oh, sorry, may become. What did I do? Sarvata, completely. Bhavet, may become. Achakshva. Please describe. Jiva lokasya. For the people in general. Jiva goes into Spanish as viva. And loka goes into English as location. Location, in mathematics you might read locus. All these words come from loka, location. Vividha, mind, manifold. Just recently, what was the show in the city? The light show. Vividha, vivid. Did you see? Vivid show, Vividha, manifold variety of lights. So, Sanskrit is everywhere, like ubiquitous in English. Mama, for myself. Samshruti, repetition of birth and death. Even the sum comes into English as sum total. Sum total. Anyway, I'll stop my linguistics here. So let's read Bhagavatam. Okay, Devahuti, please repeat. Devahuti continued. My dear Lord, please also describe in detail, both for me and for people in general, the continual process of birth and death. For by hearing of such calamities, we may become detached from the activities of this material world. Okay, so just let's regress back a little bit with the story, right? So the question is asked by Devahuti. If we remember, if you're reading carefully Bhagavatam, Devahuti was the princess of Manu. Yeah, she was the daughter of Manu. So Manu was a king. Manu is not just king of this planet Earth. Manu is king. Have you seen the pictures of solar systems, like the sun and this, all the planets and this galaxies rotating and this? In any science classes or any Google, you Google and you'll see this solar system, right? So Manu is a king of the whole solar system, of this mankind. Can you hear me well? So for this mankind, the mankind are not just on this planet. So Manu is the king of this whole disk that you see in pictures of the solar system. So Devahuti is a princess, is his daughter princess for all this solar system. It's not somewhere in geographical India, not somewhere in Europe, not somewhere in America. So you see some of the fames of the dukes and the duchess, or the queens of England, or the queen of Denmark. I think she was born in Australia, and everybody goes, "Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God!" Right? But we're talking. Devahuti was a daughter. She's the princess of whole solar system. The picture that you see of the galaxies. So she's asking a question, and very interestingly, if you notice, she's not just saying for my benefit. So she's saying this is not just for my benefit, she's saying for the benefit of everybody in all locations, sarva lokasya. So with power comes responsibility. So she has the power of a princess. She holds her father holds the power of a king. With power comes responsibility. So that is the reason she's not just asking for herself, she's asking for everybody that is living under her big solar kingdom. So she's saying, you are the transcendental incarnation that has come from upstairs, higher reality. Now could you please give us the Katha, the Bhagavad Katha, please Kathaishyami, please tell us that is beneficial for everybody on this solar system, not just for Indians, Americans or Koreans or Chinese, for everybody. So she's a very responsible lady. That's where she's showing, she's blurting out, she's expressing her nature of a princess. So in the same way, we also play little roles of responsibilities in our family. We could be a brother, we could be a son, we could be a student, we could be a grihastha, we could be a brahmachari. We also have playing a little responsibilities in our spheres. So we also should start programming our mind to think not just for ourselves, we actually are thinking about everybody else's benefit around us. That's the real Bhagavad Dharma. Bhagavad Dharma is not just me trying to get a ticket into the Vaikuntha plane and whoosh. No, that's not Bhagavad Dharma. We have to be responsible people. We're not just worrying about our welfare, but we are worrying about welfare of everybody around us. That's when the devotional service starts kicking into the heart. Not just here, not just lip service, not just throat service. Into the heart. Then you have the bliss. You don't think about yourself, you think about others. but you're more happy. You're happier than you would think you for yourself. So that's the example she's putting in. She's saying, not just for myself, but for the benefit of all others, please tell us this Bhagavad Dharma. That's the foundation. So we have to see that like that. When we see, then we'll work for the benefit of everybody. Parama nirmatsaranam satam vedyam vadamastu astu shivadam. Shivadam, welfare of everybody. You understand? So far so good? Happy with this? Okay. So, in this word, the word samshriti is very important. Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada ki, purported by Prabhupada, joy. Okay. In this verse, the word samshriti is very important. Shreya Shruti means the prosperous path of advancement towards the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And samsmriti means the continued journey on the path of birth and death towards the darkest region of material existence. Say, why did this point come? This point come is because Devati is asking a very specific word. Okay, we have to pay specific. When we're reading Bhagavatam, you have to pay attention. Okay, you have to pay attention. And another thing you have to do is when Prabhupada is giving a purport or Prabhupada is giving a translation, you have to read that in the light of everything else Prabhupada is written. Everything else Prabhupada has said. Then you get more out of it. Then you get more spiritual blood out of it, spiritual energy out of it. So here she's saying about the samsmriti, but the samsmriti, the context that she's saying is virago yena purusha. Virago yena purusha means detachment, vairagya ke saath. Okay, English. How can I develop detachment to it? I just want to take a few minutes to go to this detachment thing. I think it's very important to understand detachment correctly. Okay, it's very important. Because sometimes when you hear a word like 20,000 times, when you come to ISKCON, you hear a word 20,000 times and you become kind of numb. It just goes. Psh, psh. I want to spend some time to understand this detachment very correctly, okay? Why does these people questioning in Bhagavatam always talk about detachment? If it's not understood correctly, it can actually misguide us. If you don't understand it correctly, it can actually misguide us. There is two extremes that viraga, if not understood correctly, there's two extremes it can take us, which is not healthy. You want me to explain? Yeah? Only one yes or two yeses there? Yes. Okay, say yes. Yes, sir, yes. Okay. So, one extreme is that people who are in Pravritti Marga, who are interested with being in the world, being grihasthas, काम करना है, बच्चों को पालना है, bringing up children, bringing up families, making money. One extreme is there, they're completely petrified. Every time Bhagavad Gita, every time Bhagavatam, God, they talk about detachment. I don't want my son to be detached at 16 years old. It's too early for him. Or I don't want my daughter to start doing these kirtan programs. There's so much. They get completely afraid. Yeah, that's one extreme. And what do they say? I'll read Bhagavad Gita when I'm 60 years old. 60, 70 years old. Kuch sunai dega? Can you hear something at 70 years old? Aise nahi hota. It doesn't work like that. Okay? That's one extreme. The second extreme, do you want to know the second extreme? Yeah? The second extreme is that you become such a bairagi, you become so renounced, and you completely petrify people who are not renounced. I am so renounced, you will never see me putting one drop of water in my mouth on the Ekadashi. Is it Nirjala Ekadashi? No, every Ekadashi. That's it. I am the renounced order. I have just got the renunciation. I have mastered it. And what did that extreme do? Completely petrify people. people who are not yet there but have some interest, what are we trying to do? We're trying to completely fear them, petrify them. So one extreme is you get so engrossed in the material, like so-called sense gratificatory life, that you see that and you're completely feared. Or the other extreme is that you think you mastered it, right? I even remembered some, my old days. Okay, I'll tell you my personal story, okay? This was 23 years ago. 23 years ago. Meera must have been in her previous life, maybe. So, how old were you 23 years ago? 23, you were born then. Oh my God. 23, 24 years ago. I'm making myself look so old. Yeah, I'm only 45, okay? So 23 years ago, I had come to this temple by accident. 23, maybe 24 years ago. This was before Sydney Olympics. And I heard Atmaram Prabhu, he really used to hit the spot. Atmaram Prabhu used to do Bhagavad Gita classes. You may remember. 4 o'clock Bhagavad Gita, you had to be there and the temple was full. And we used to hear Bhagavad, and as soon as I read Atmaram Prabhu's Bhagavad Gita, I was like fired up. I was only 21, 22, maybe 22. I was fired up. I used to listen to Bhagavad Gita and I went home and I was like, I gave up meat, I gave up everything, partying, I gave up. My mom called and said, we need to get you married. She said, no, marriage is hell, I don't want to marry. And my mother and father is saying, oh my God, what's going on with this guy? And then the people in my room, I used to live in an apartment as a student, they were starting to get a little worried. Like, ho kya raha iske saath? And no eggs, like complete brahmachari, like absolute strict brahmachari, like boom, 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 every day. And finally one day they saw me, Krishna Kirtan started in the tape recorder, and in those days we used to have discs with music systems. And when that started, I started dancing and they were like, he's really gone. Like then they saw this guy is out of case now. So I completely scared them off. And I, like strong opposition wherever I went, families, friends, lecturers, professors, everybody thought, he's going mental. So I kind of got into this renunciation mood. I was 22 years old, I was fired up. And I wasn't realizing that I was scaring the people around them off, completely petrifying them. So that's one extreme. Don't show me the sight of Maya kind of thing. But I think that's one extreme. So I thought, okay, there has to be a middle path into this. After some time, I kind of realized my fanaticism and I kind of calmed down and I said, I have to find a middle path. So Arjuna in Bhagavad Gita, you might be interested to know that my story is actually backed up by Arjuna. Arjuna twice in Bhagavad Gita asked this question to Krishna. If you're reading Bhagavad Gita carefully. First in 5th chapter, 3rd, Vyamishrena Vakyena, 3rd chapter. Sannyasam karmanam Krishna punar yogam cha samshruti yat shreyor ekam yat tan bhruvi nishchitam me, tan bhruvi me nishchitam. So he says, first you were glorifying renunciation, and then now all of a sudden you're glorifying Bhakti Yoga. Yeah, so Punar Yogam cha samshasi, Sannyasam Karmanam Krishna. First you glorified Sannyasam, and now you're glorifying Yukta Vairagya. And Arjuna says, I'm completely confused. Can you please Vyamishrena Vakyena Buddhi Moyasi me. By these your equivocal statements, you are completely confusing me. And that's in the beginning of Bhagavad Gita. Again in the 18th chapter, first shloka, he again repeats this. Sannyasascha mahabhaho tattvam ichchami veditum tyagascha rishikesha prutakeshi nishudana. So he says, can you please explain to me again what is this sannyasa and tyaga? Please clarify to me clearly. So it is extremely important जब हम भागवत धर्म फॉलो करते हैं, English. When we are doing Bhagavat Dharma, when we are doing a life of Bhagavat, it's extremely important We provide people outside a good example, a good ideal. We don't show extremes. We don't scare people out. We don't scare the dust out of them. We have to be extreme, very balanced. Yukta hara viharasya, yukta cheshtasya karmasu. We have to present an ideal, balanced life. So when people see you, they're automatically attracted. Wow, this looks so nice. I want to follow you. This is amazing. So it's extremely important to present this balanced. So how does Krishna, after 59 verses in 18th chapter, how does Krishna say, what is the real sannyasa? 18 chapter, 18 chapters. Finally, Krishna concluding, he says, okay, let me tell you actually what I'm trying to say. What is real detachment? Asakta buddhi sarvatma, jitatmana, asakta buddhi sarvatra, jitatmana vigataspriya, naishkarmya siddhim paramam, sannyasena bhi gacchati. English. What does he say? Asakta buddhi sarvatma. Doesn't matter if you are in grihastha. I am a grihastha. Doesn't matter if you are a brahmachari. But asakta, you are acting without too much attachment. Jitatmana vigadaspriha. He comes, he grows out of his attachment. He doesn't force. Renunciation. It's not force, it's about growing out. You know, I was very attached. You threw me in a toy shop when I was 6 years old. At 9 o'clock, you would have to wait until 3 o'clock in the afternoon to get me out. But if you show me the same toys now, I'm grown out of it. I don't have that attachment anymore. So it's not about forcing vairagya, it's about growing out of your attachments. It's about growing out. Naturally, organically you grow out of it. That is vairagya. So you grow out of it naturally. Asakta buddhi sarvatma jitatmana vigata spriha. Spriha, smrita, spriha, they're all cognate words. Smrita in English, smart, comes from smrita. Smrita, smart, same words. So spriha, these remembrances of your sense gratification. The same handsome guy, the same handsome Bollywood actor or a Hollywood actor to a girl, once she grows out of it, it's like, she just grows out of it. Same with the boys. You see the same, this lusty attachment, just like, I gotta get my hands, where's the party? But it's not, it's just you grow naturally out of it. It's not like that. It's like a game for it, like a game that you used to play at 6 years old. It's not like that. You just grow out of it naturally, organically. But if you remember, in the previous chapter, Kapila Muni says, how does that come? It comes from gentle consistency. It comes from gentle, long, prolonged consistency of sadhana. Then you automatically grow out of it. Now you can have the most beautiful Megan Fox come and jump in front of you with all the, attraction angles in front of you. You're just like, yeah, good try. Nice try. Why? It's not because you just grow out of it. It doesn't interest you anymore. It doesn't interest you. Why? Because you organically grow out of it. You understand? So asakta buddhi sarvatma jitatmana vigadaspriya naishkarmya siddhim paramam sannyasena bhi gacchati. So finally at 18.59 Krishna concludes saying, this is how you 18.49 maybe. This is how you grow out of it naturally without attachments. That's detachment. You understand? So we have to become good examples, balanced examples. We don't scare people out of... There's a boy who picked up books from me in Hornsby. And he went home and he read the books and he talks to me and he became so detached. In his house, in the morning 4 o'clock, he showers with cold water in the winter and he's sleeping on the floor without mattresses and he's scarcely eating anything, and his parents are like, what is going on here? So I said, no, relax, boy. Relax, young fellow. We don't scare our parents like that. Okay? So that's a little context I wanted to give about attachment and detachments in Vedic literature. We have to never misunderstand this. Yeah? To the point we're scaring people out. Yeah? You okay with that, or any hiccups, or any doesn't make sense? Or what are you talking, Radhika Prasad? We saw you taking your pill, but you still a little. So, let's continue. People who have no birth and death towards... Mataji or women, are you okay? Is it you happy with what's going on? Yeah? Okay. Okay, you can ask questions. If you don't, something goes out of whack, just stop me. I'm happy to be stopped. Okay, so where are we? Darkest region, okay. People who have no knowledge of this material world, God, and their actual intimate relationship with Him are actually going to the darkest region of material existence in the name of progress in the material advancement of civilization. Okay, now this is where Radhika Prasad is going to do a little philosophy. Please bear with me. Why is Prabhupada is clearly referencing to? What is Prabhupada clearly referencing to here? Huh? Yes, but which verse? Which scripture? Prize for whoever gives this correctly. Ishopanishad, verse number 9. Andha tama pravishanti yo avidyayam upasate tato bhuya ivate tama yo vidyayam rata. Yeah? But you still gave it a try, so you still get it. So, Andam, Ishopanishad, verse number 9. Andham tama pavishanti ye avidyayam upasate tato bhuya ivate tama yo vidyayam rata. That's what Prabhupada is mentioning. People who have no knowledge of this material world, God, and their actual intimate relationship with Him are actually going to the darkest region of material existence in the name of progress in the material advancement of civilization. Andha tama pravishanti yo avidyayam upasate. People who are avidyayam upasate, ignorance, who are following the path of ignorance, they are going into the darkest regions of material. Andhatama. Andhatama. Tama is already dark. Andha is blinding darkness. It's like emphasizing the same point twice. Yeah? So it's called pleonastic. Okay. Only, it's called pleonastic fallacy in scholarships. Okay? So you kind of stress a word by saying, like, darkness is itself dark, but you say blind darkness, you're stressing the word. It's called pleonasm. Yeah, pleonastic. Anyway, so Krishna, in this is Ishopanishad is part of the Vedas, you may know. Ishopanishad is part of Yajurveda. So these mantras are directly from Veda. So it's saying Andhatama pravishanti yo avidyayam upasate. But the next is very, now this is going to confuse you if you don't understand it correctly. Next they're saying, but even darker regions, even darker hells are awaiting for people who are attached to Vidya for the sake of it. Now this is paradoxical. On one hand, Krishna is saying that people who are following the path of ignorance are going to the darkest regions of this world. On the other hand, he's saying, but people who are even following the Vidya, the so-called knowledge, still going into darkest even words places. Now how do you understand these kind of things? And do you want me to confuse you more? Do you want me to confuse you more? I'll confuse you more now. That's my job. That's what they pay me for, to confuse you. 9.11, same Ishopanishad. 9.11, not 9.11, 9.11. Not 9.11. Okay. So 9.11, in Ishopanishad, 9 and 11, sorry. Ishopanishad 9 and 11, very interesting words. He says, avidyam vidyamcha avidyamcha yastad vedo bhyam saha avidyayam mrutyum tirtva vidyayam amrutam ashnute. So in the 9th verse we just heard Krishna saying, who follow the avidya mode, ignorance, go to the darkest regions, but who are following the vidya mode is going to the still darkest. But in the same Ishopanishad, 11th verse, 9 and 11, he's saying, Vidyamcha, avidyamcha, you have to learn both vidya and avidya simultaneously. Then what happens? Avidyayam mrutyum tirtva, by perfectly understanding the path of ignorance, you will cross the ocean of mrutyu. Avidyayam mrutyum tirtva, vidyayam amrutam ashnute. But by vidya, you will attain the immortal bliss of spiritual worlds. Now, in one verse, he just said, both paths are leading to hell. Right? In 2 verses after, Krishna is saying, he's saying, both paths will lead you to the eternal glory. Now, what is this? Is he purposefully trying to confuse you? Is he purposefully trying to throw you off your chairs? Do you see what I'm trying to say? Which is the reason I always say you have to read these things under proper guidance. So I will try to explain to you a little bit. Yeah? You want me to explain, or you want me to explain this a little bit? So, every time you bump into paradoxes like this in Bhagavatam, every time you bump into paradoxes in Vedic literature, in the Vedas, you refer Bhagavad Gita. So in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna explains what is Vidya and Avidya. Adhyatma gnana nityatvam tattva gnanartha darshanam etad gnanam iti proktam agnanam yat. Very good. You deserve that garland today. Very proud of you. That's good. So Bhagavan batate hain, Krishna is trying to say the real Vidya is Adhyatma Vidya. Understanding that you are a conscious entity. You are an Atma. A conscious entity separately existing without any dependence on your body. Without being affected with your bodily changes. You are different person apart from your body. In Christian philosophy, this part is a little very hard to understand for them. Because they go by resurrections. Resurrection means you resurrect along with your body. But in Vedic, it's a little bit more next step. You're not actually your body. So that is, Krishna says, Adhyatma Gnana Nityatvam Tattva Gnana Artha Darshanam. Like once you see in Tattva that you are an Atma that are part of your super source, your ultimate source. When you see this is Jnana. Agnanam yat tadonyata. Everything else is avidya, agnana. So when you understand, when you get stuck in Bhagavatam, when you're stuck in Vedas, when you get stuck, you always come back to Gita. And when you get stuck in Gita, then you always go back to Bhagavatam. So now if some of you may say, Prabhuji, very, 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 very good elevated philosophy. Thank you very much. How is this going to make sense in my practical life? When I go out there, I have to face the real world. Have you ever seen the real world? What about the real world out there? Why are you so, isolated to Bhagavad? बाहर दुनिया में क्या हो रहा है उसका क्या होगा? When I go into the world, I have to face my boss. I have to face the market. I have to go into a shopping mall. My senses are going, dragging. Facebook. You want to see something else, but you get something else that you never expected, and now you're wasted 30 minutes in it. Maybe 2 hours. So how do you tackle with the real world? So I want to give you a little bit of a history of this world. You like history? Do you like to know a little bit of history? So this world was generally, in broad sense, divided into 4 ages. In modern era, after death of Christ, AD. The first part of our age used to be called Dark Ages, where people didn't worry about scriptures much. It was all about watching the nature and understanding the nature, seeing God in the nature, seeing spirits in the trees, seeing spirits in the forest. It's all about nature. It's called Dark Ages. It's like Harry Potter world. It's like the Lord of the Rings, like Harry Potter's. Everything in the nature, mystical. The nature is mystical. That's majority put into one basket. That's the Dark Ages. Then came the Medieval Ages. Medieval Ages swung to another extreme completely. What was the other extreme? Sola Scriptura, only scripture. You read scripture, no need to know the material nature, no need to know out of the what happens outside of the world, no need to understand anything, no need to understand science, no need to go to the universities. Sola Scriptura. This was Protestant Reformation by Martin Luther. Only scripture, that's it. You don't need to do anything else. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Boom. What about science? No, I don't need to know science. But if you get sick, do you go to a good doctor? If you get sick, say if you have a choice when you get sick, there is this doctor who knows perfectly the medical sciences. There is this doctor who's actually a devotee but doesn't know anything about medical science. Who would you go? If you want to get cured, who do you want to go? A good doctor. Right? So we're not, what I'm trying to say is we're not silly people. Sola Scriptura, only scripture. I don't need to do anything else. But when you get sick, you have to find a good doctor, right? I'm a good devotee, Prabhu. I know a little bit of MBBS. I didn't treat any patients, but I'm a very good devotee. Do you want to come to me and to get a prescription? No, thank you very much. So what I'm trying to say is devotional service doesn't mean that we are silly people. We use our brains and we understand Paramatmika and we also understand Laukika and Vyavaharika. That's what these verses are trying to say. Vidyamcha, Vidyamcha. Yastad Vedo Bhayamsya. We understand both in balance. We don't hate scriptures and go into the mystical nature, or we don't go completely into the books and say, to hell with the universities. It doesn't work like that. You understand both in a balanced way. That's path of devotional service. Vidyamcha, Vidyamcha, Yastad Vedo Bhyamsaha, Avidyayam Mrutyam Tirtha, Vidyayam Amrutam Ashnute. So you understand perfectly you're a Atma, conscious entity, separate from the body. I can show to you. You could never be your body. आप ये बदन ये बॉडी हो ही नहीं सकते. You cannot be your body. Logically, scientifically, you could never be this body even if you tried harder. You could never be this body. Please understand. Please understand. You could never this body if you tried. You are a conscious entity. If the body will fall, but you will move on to your next. To your next service. Excuse me. Yeah? If you are firmly grounded in your service, then you will go. When you drop this body, where will you go? Next service. Very good. Okay, share your garland with him. Okay? You go to your next service. कुछ भी नहीं होगा. बदन गिरेगा, you die, कुछ भी नहीं होगा. You get up and you go to your next service. Nothing's going to happen to you. Your Atma will be there, it's eternally there with Krishna, it will eternally be there forever. Nothing is going to happen. Please believe me. Please. You following me so far? So, but that doesn't mean we are silly people. We understand both material world and the spiritual, both, the book of nature. There's two books. It used to be two books in the medieval period. Two books. Book of nature and you have book of God. You don't neglect book of nature just for the sake of book of God, or you don't neglect book of God for the sake of the book of nature. You understand both correctly, in balance. So that's the Protestant Reformation. So I gave you two ages. What is the third age? Third age was Renaissance. Renaissance was where the people said, okay, no, this is too extremes. The Crusaders, the fightings in the name of religions, too much Harry Potter on one extreme, too much Lord of the Rings on one extreme, and the other extreme is sola scriptura, go on wars in conversions of Crusaders and kill everybody that don't accept your religion. So finally Renaissance, they said, no, wait, Renaissance, the very name in French means rebirth. They said we have to give a rebirth of this whole fanaticism, and they said, let's bring them together. Book of God and book of nature. Let's understand together, let's balance our life in yukta vairagya. Not childish renunciation, but matured renunciation. So, I covered 3 ages. I covered the first. Who remembers? Very good. I covered second. Medieval. Very good. Very good, Mataji. I don't have any more Mahaprasad here. Number 3. Renaissance. Yeah? Google a little bit about Renaissance. It's a rebirth of bringing them back both into balance. And finally is our glorious modern age. Glorious modern age. What do we do here? We reject both. So, one extreme, we rejected scriptures. Second extreme, we rejected the nature. Third, Renaissance, we wanted to bring both together and balance. Now we have the glorious modern age. What did we do? We rejected both. Screw the nature. Dump it with plastic. Dump it with carbon waste. Dump it with electrical waste. Dump the ocean with rubbish. Kill this planet. What about the book of nature? Flush it down the rabbit hole. What about book of God? Don't get me started. So in this glorious modern age, we have successfully rejected both. So what do we do? What do we do? We have, Very good. Otherwise it will become a big Kerala story. Otherwise it will become a big Kerala story. The whole India will become the whole world will become a big Kerala story. And you know what I'm saying, right? Kerala story. Some of you may have watched the movie. Some of you know the controversy around the Kerala story. So if we don't please understand, boys and girls and ladies and gentlemen, please understand, this Bhagavad Dharma is a dharma of balance. We don't swing to extremes. We don't swing to extremes of renunciations. We don't swing to extremes of religions. We don't swing to extremes of fanaticisms. Either way, we don't swing to either. We have to strike a good balance. That is the reason, if you know your Bible, if you read Bible or anybody online, yeah? Very good. So you know the prayers of King Solomon. You will have heard somewhere in the church. What does he pray for? King Solomon, when he comes to the grand first assembly, and he was supposed to be coronated. What does he pray God for? Discernment. Buddhi Yoga. So sometimes we get confused between Jnana Yoga and Buddhi Yoga. Jnana Yoga is knowledge, information, but Buddhi Yoga is discernment, striking that balance. Yukta hara viharasya, yukta chestasya karmasya. So now how does it apply to us in Australia? I'll tell you a little secret about Australia. It's a very, very beautiful character that I had observed about Australia when I came here 24 years ago. And coincidentally, as soon as I came, I bumped into Hare Krishna. How did I do that? Just joking. So, I noticed something very fascinating in Australians. I really like them. And I noticed something fascinating. They really respect you, not just because you carry a good book like Bhagavad Gita or the good book like Bible or any good book. They have a good respect when you are showing some kind of involvement and upliftment in their communities. When you participate in their communities. When you do something for their community. So one time I rocked, 10 years ago, right? I rocked up to Newtown with some of my books. I came to Newtown, I took my books, and I was going everywhere. I was going with my books. And I went to Newtown one day. And I went to Newtown and I was literally, you must be thinking I'm exaggerating. I was received as a celebrity. Haribol, Haribol, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. And people are taking like, I already have Bhagavatam, give me more copies of Bhagavatam. I said, why you already have Bhagavatam? Just because you're here, I want to get books. And I said, what is going on here? I cleaned my Meera was only 7 years old, or maybe 6. 6 maybe. Meera was there with me, she's my daughter by the way. And Meera was there with me and we started the book table, we even didn't set it up fully. Half of the books were gone. Haribol, Hare Krishna. I was thinking, why am I being treated as a celebrity here? They said, I asked one of them, why? And you know what he said? Because he said, we ate your prasad food here on the spot that you have your table. We ate your prasad for 20 years. 80s and 90s and all the way into the mid-2000s. And our life was glorious. We saw you participating. We saw you watching our struggles. You came and the prasad was not just some, leftovers from, it was hot, it was creamy, it was ghee, it was, what was that? And he remembers, what was that? Halwa. And then he goes, khichdi. And that ghee, beautiful. And you will be surprised that prasadam food for love was distributed in Redfern, but goonj sunai deta hai Gold Coast mein. But you hear the ripples and waves of that prasad distributed in Newtown, Redfern, but the ripples I used to hear in Byron Bay. Can you believe it? One day I was chanting on the beach in Byron Bay. Someone said to me, are you chanting Hare Krishna? I said, yeah, is it okay? And he said, no, it's okay. But I remember I used to eat your prasadam in Newtown. Can you tell me how to chant Hare Krishna? Do you see? That's the thing I really love about Australians. You participate, you do something for their communities, they will remember for decades. And we don't have to colonize them with our Indian thing. All you do is participate, do something in their communities, and all you need to give them is Hare Krishna. I'm not just talking about Australia. I'm just talking anywhere in the world. You go to Germany, you go to even in India, when they see you're actually participating in their communities, you're actually doing something for their community. And then, yesterday we were in Camden, all day, Camden is very rough. Like my daughter, my wife and my family, they're going in, they're coming back, and Janmashtami Prabhu, they're coming back, we can't penetrate. I said, wait a minute, I've got a trick. We had these all cupcakes. Say, take these cupcakes, now go with the books and with these cupcakes. And every time they went, now everybody wants books, everybody wants books. See, I told you. So I'll quickly recap in 3 points. I talked about correcting the vairagya. Were you happy with the way I explained vairagya, the correct vairagya, the balanced vairagya? Everybody happy? Second, I spoke about knowledge and ignorance. There's also balance, book of nature and book of God. If you get sick, you go to a good doctor. You don't go to a doctor who's not trained well, but he's a devotee. Oh, I have a nice medicine here. I'm going to push this into your needle into your body. Because I'm a very good devotee, it will work. Wait a minute. No, are you a good doctor? So I said how to balance between knowledge and ignorance. And finally, we are living in this country, anywhere we are living in this world, the best way to attract people is not chauvinistically, pushing our philosophy under our throats. We also need to participate. You cannot harbor too much dislike, saying they are karmis, they are malichas. You cannot harbor so much dislike for someone and at the same time hope that they'll become Krishna conscious. I say, nahi hota hai. It doesn't work like that. You cannot harbor so much hatred about the karmis and malachas and so much hatred, mayas, matajis and genders and malachas, and then you at the same time you want to make them Krishna conscious. Trust me, it won't work. You can only make someone Krishna conscious if you are genuinely like them and if you genuinely love even one characteristic they have. Even one. Pick one good character. Don't harbor so much for the malachas and the, yavanas and the, karmis and, the matajis or mayas and no. You have to balance. Then this good book will remain a good book because there is spiritual science, but there are no spiritual scientists. So, what do you want to be? Very good. So, what do you want to be? A spiritual scientist. What do you want to be? A devotee. I remember when I came to Australia, Australia was really on the peak of their rugby. And they were champions. They were beating everywhere they go. And they used, every time Aussies saw me, they used to say, what do you want to be? And they used to say, a wallaby. Wallaby is the team, right? And I used to turn around and say, what do you want to be? A devotee. So you need to understand the country you live in. You need to understand their sentiments. You need to participate in their communities. You need to show empathy. And then they'll automatically ask, how did you get this? Where did you get this? I want to read these books. I want to come to your temples. I want to associate with you people. Tab Gyan ka prakash hoga. Then the Jnana Deepena Bhashvata. Surya Sama. Krishna Surya Sama. Maya Haya Andhakar. Okay, I think I'll stop there. It's a Sunday. I don't want to come between you and your. Who am I to come between you and your prasad? And I don't want you to go and ask for refunds. So, I'll stop there. Maybe there's only 4 or 5 lines of purport. You can read it in your time. But are you happy? Any questions? I'm really happy to be corrected. Really happy to be commented or questioned or challenged. I'm very happy. Any questions or comments? I covered a lot of ground. I went to Bhagavad Gita. I was bouncing around Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita, Vedas, Yajurveda, Ishopanishad, and boom, 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 boom. Everything makes sense? Any questions? Any questions? Any questions? So I did a good job. Thank you very much. Just before you leave, I just want to express my gratitudes because I never, in my heart, I promised myself, I never want to take this association for granted. The day we take this association for granted, this devotee association for granted, is the day we are dead, spiritually. Never take this association for granted. Listen to me. Okay, devotee association is very precious. You understand? So never, I don't want to take this opportunity for granted. I want to express my gratitude for listening to my dry philosophy. Some of, I can, if you're struggling with sleeplessness, come to me, you listen to me and you can sleep very nicely. So, thank you for coming, thank you for listening, thank you for serving this Bhagavatam like this, consistently the way you're doing. Yeah? Because this Bhagavatam, this devotee, Sadhu Sangha, this is the light to this world. I'm not saying as a fanatic, I'm saying this with practical awareness and rational confidence. This is the light. The sadhus are the lights for this planet. So, you want to become sadhus? Everybody, say yes or yes. Hare Krishna. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhu bhevacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavabhyo namo namah. Ananta koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki. Srila Prabhupada ki. Okay, how does this go? Just turn it off.